Hi everyone, I'm Amy French. I'm a history professor and also a travel blogger who goes under the pseudonym The Roaming Historian. And I'm excited today. I'm trying to start something new. So of course it's 2020 right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic and I haven't been able to travel back to my beloved Italy. But thankfully I have a lot of photographs and a lot of memories. And I thought today I would take you to on a trip with me virtually through my photographs and my historical knowledge. And I thought we would travel to Rome to the former Jewish ghetto there. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen here with you so that you can see my pictures. And we're going to pop right here, looking at a wall there in the Jewish ghetto. Jews had settled in Rome in around the second century before the Common Era. So they had been there for quite some time. When the Romans invaded Judea and launched the first Jewish-Roman war, where they took 10,000 Jewish slaves, when they brought those Jewish slaves back to the city, they had found that there were already 30,000 Jewish Roman citizens there. So there's been a population well before the diaspora in Rome. And the area that we think of as the Jewish ghetto is the area, and it's going to be right in here. You see number 4. So look at this little area. This is the area where the Jewish ghetto was. It was near the Tiber River, so that was great as far as in ancient times, it was a great location for trade. When we talk about the area becomes this walled-in area, it will be a horrible negative to have the Tiber River there. But this area was very popular in ancient times. And I'm talking 2,000 years ago. So you're saying, what time are you talking about? I'm talking about really the time of the first emperor in Rome, where here's the Tiber River. We have the Forum Boarium in the area. This is the caliform of ancient Rome. There's temples there. In fact, there's a couple different temples there. It's right near Capitoline Hill. This wasn't there at the time. This is the Vittorio Emanuele monument, the Altare della Patria, and this is relatively new. But behind it is the Roman Forum, the Colosseum, which comes about in the first century of the Common Era. And so there was also, around this time, there would have been the Teatro Marcello, which was a theater. There would have been more temples, and then there would have been the Portico d'Attavia, the portico for Attavia. So why were Jews forced into this area? So the area then is bordered by what you just saw there, the Theater of Marcellus, the Portico d'Attavia. Up here, the Fountain of Turtles, we'll see that in a little bit. I'll show you a picture of Fontana delle Tartarughe, and then Palazzo Cenci on the other side in this area. Well, what has gone on at this point? So in 1482, Spain had expelled Jews from the area. Numerous European countries followed suit. And so Rome's Jewish population swells. Then in the 1500s, around 1520, you have the Protestant Reformation going on. And so the Catholic Church is trying to battle what is another sect of Christianity that's come about, that is fighting, that is battling for people against Catholicism, as well as the Jewish faith, which is also battling against Catholicism. And so the papacy says, we're going to force people, we're going to try to force people back. And so Pope Paul IV then in 1555 establishes this neighborhood in this little area that you see here, and says this will be the home of the Jewish community. And so these cramped blocks right here between the Tiber, the Turtle Fountain up here, the Teatro Marcello over here, and then Palazzo Cenci over here, become the only area where Jews are allowed to live. A wall is built around the area. They're given a curfew. There's gates that are locked every night at the curfew. The area is very subject to flooding because the Tiber's right there. And so the modern day embankments that we have today weren't there. Subsequently, it was also prone to malarial conditions. Jews were treated very poorly. They had to wear elements of yellow clothing to identify them and shame them. They were prohibited from high-paying jobs. They're prohibited from owning property. If they had held property, they had to sell it and rent from Christians. And so the Jewish ghetto then becomes this area of poverty, discrimination, overcrowding, illnesses, plagues. They didn't even have the same access to fresh water that the rest of Rome did. And on top of it, the Catholic Church would try to force conversion to Christianity by putting churches like this one here, which is the Chiesa di San Gregorio della Divina Pietra, or Divina Pietra, where, as you see here, there is a crucifixion scene, and then underneath it, it's in Hebrew script to try to convert. And so the ghetto lasted for several hundred years. The walls were finally torn down in 1848. And then after Italian unification in 1870, we start to see things change. A secular government replaces the religious government. Jews are granted full rights and citizenship. And they build a synagogue in the Art Nouveau style here, the Tempe Maggiore. This dome up here, very colorful inside. It's symbolic of God's promise to Noah that there would be no more floods. So it was in the rainbow design. And then there's also this vivid blue ceiling with stars, and that was representative of God's promise that Jews would be as many as the stars in the sky. And so for a few decades, things were going better. And then Germany occupied Rome from late fall of 43 to summer of 44. And in the fall of 43, the Nazis had lists of Jews that were taxpayers, and so what happens is they trucks pull up, and they pull up to the piazza the side of Ottavia's portico, the Piazza Portico d'Ottavia, and they by gun here they force at gunpoint over 1,000 Roman Jews. Some are able to hide, some are able to escape, but the majority are forced then onto the piazza. It's called La Spietata Caccia agli Ebrei. It was a merciless hunt for Jews. And so this is the piazza right here. Over here, you can see the sign. It says the date that this happened, October 16th, 1943. And so they were forced at gunpoint. The over 1,000 Jews they were sent to Auschwitz, only 16 survived. And today you can see these cobbles in front of the homes where Jews who had been sent to the camps lived. So we have Pacifico di Concilio. He was born in 1910. He was arrested February 15, 1944, deported to Auschwitz, and then assassinated on April 10th, 1945. Donato and Virginia, Donato Piazza, he was taken in 44, but Virginia Piazza, you can see here, she was taken on October 16th of 1943. And it says, she was deportata to Auschwitz and then assassinata. And here's more of those cobbles. I try not to take too many pictures because I wanted them to be, I didn't want to intrude on a memorial but at the same time I felt I needed to show them for some educational purposes. Today, today it's still referred to as the ghetto. You can see here, this restaurant calls itself La Taverna del Ghetto. There's Baguetto, there's different restaurants. I remember saying it once to a friend and she was aghast and she says, Amy, why did you call it that? And I said, that's what it is. Many travel writers don't. I noticed that there's been the sanitization of the term, and a lot of travel writers, travel bloggers refer to it as the Jewish quarter, the Jewish neighborhood. I will not do that. For one, I think we should refer to it as the former Jewish ghetto, but I don't want to sanitize history and make it so that we don't remember the atrocities that occurred there and the horrors that the Jewish people in Rome and many other places face, and the persecution. They always say, if you don't learn from the past, we all know the rest, right? And so, and today it's a really wealthy area. It has nothing to do with your background, unless more to do with your pocketbook. The area is completely gentrified. prices are very expensive. The neighborhood is occupied by stars and other wealthy people. And so it's no longer, it's really defined by economics. But there's still this celebration of Jewish culture and cuisine. And so there's lots of these different restaurants, like this one, Jewish Ghetto El Portico. I mean, isn't that just gorgeous? I love this one. Every time it just takes my breath away when I see it. It's so beautiful. And a lot of the restaurants, one of my favorites for cachofe alla Judea, which are these yummy, yummy fried artichokes. They're delicious. They're like, I don't know, artichoke potato chips. And they have sea salt on them. Nonna Beta is one of my favorite. In fact, in the thumbnail for this video, I'm sitting at a table at Nonna Beta. And so I love that. You see a lot of fried food on the menu, and that's because it's part of that tradition. Frying over an open fire was a preferred method. Water was scarce. So there's fried cod. There's things like if you go to Boccione, which is a bakery, you can have crostata di ricotta e viscioli. That one, my pronunciation of that word, it's the word for cherries, tart cherries. So what it is it's a tart, and then they put cherries in it, and then they put ricotta, and then they cover it again, which is odd because usually crostata is open face, but this is covered again. And that's because the government required, the papacy required that Jews could not sell ricotta, dairy, to Christians. And so they would cover the dairy part. If you go there today, I recommend going to Tempio Maggiore, the big synagogue there. That's where you will also find the Jewish Museum of Rome. There's tons of ruins in the area. This is Portico da Pavia. There are temples. There's the Teatro Marcella. You can go down this road here, the Via della Reginella. There's lots of little stores down there. And at the end of it, you'll come to this. This is the fountain. So this is the other edge. We talked about those edges. This is Fontana delle Tartarughe, or the turtle fountain, the fountain of the turtles. And you see the turtles up here. Originally, they weren't there. So the original design by Giacomo della Porto was in the late 1500s. The turtles were added in the mid 1600s. Some say by Gian Lorenzo Bernini. It's not proven, but that's who they say. And then you can kind of wander back down to the Tiber. We love to come here. My husband and I will grab a bottle of beer for him and a bottle of Prosecco for me. We grab some cards. We love to play cribbage, and we'll come down here and just sit. And this is the Ponte Fabricio, which this bridge was started in 62 BC. So to that over, 2000, almost 2100 years before the common day. And then this will lead you to Isola Tiberina. And then on the other side is a really fun, cool neighborhood called Trastevere. And Trastevere is just, it's happening. It's got tons of good restaurants, tons of good shops, real bohemian feel, great place. And then this one, I'm just kind of giving you an overview here, but you can see here's Teatro Marcello, here's the Tempe Maggiore, over here's the Tiber River. I highly suggest, if you can, go there, please. I mean, Rome is the eternal city. A lifetime is not enough. They always say that about Rome, and it's so true. A lifetime is not enough. It's a beautiful place. I hope you enjoyed this. I did. I had a lot of fun. Please, tell me what kind of videos you'd like to see in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Have a great day.